Do you have any idea who I am? If some rich guy calls you on the phone, I wanted to speak with you about what you hope to achieve. What do you hope to achieve, Mark?
I want to be the best in the world.
Good.
So Guys Festival, thank you very much for being with me today in Cannes Film Festival regarding the projection in competition, new movie, Foxcatcher. It's based on a true story. You have a lot of souvenir about this story because it was a famous story in the USA before the shooting, and it remind you a lot of things.
It's not a story that I was that familiar with. I'd heard of it growing up, but it wasn't. I think people in that area of the country are very familiar with the story and know what happened. But reading the script and meeting Bennett, this was my first true exposure to what transpired there, and it was riveting and an incredibly compelling story.
Mark.
I was a wrestler, so when it happened, I mean, I knew who the Schultzes were, so when it happened, it was big news in that community, and it was a tabloid. There was a tabloid aspect to it. There was a lot of questions. Why did he shoot him? What was their relationship? It was so strange. But it sort of popped up and then went away. You heard about it, but I never really knew what the final outcome was.
There's a key for you. Also, big house is off limits.
Okay. Coach DuPont has a vision. He would like Foxcatcher to be the official training site for the national team.
What's he get out of all this?
What are you thinking? This is it. This is all that we've ever wanted.
Mark, you have been living in your brother's shadow your entire life. It's your time now.
Promise you. I'll give you everything I have.
This movie is so well written. I mean, it was a point. I mean, to the success of this story. It was a character-driven movie, of course, but also because it's very, very well written.
I was drawn to it primarily because of Bennett. You know, had Bennett asked me to do the Dr. Seuss story, I would have done that. I really admire him as a filmmaker, and then once I read the script, the script was exceptional, and all the characters were so well defined. But specifically working with Bennett was the draw for me.
Yes, I was attracted when I heard in 2006 that he was doing it, and was trying to figure out a way how to get the script and meet and so on. But when I got it, I was also struck by it wasn't just a salacious expose about this thing that happened. It also had this kind of greater modern tragedy written into it that was and that relationship between the brothers. Like, he really had a deep cut on the interpersonal mechanics of it that was very compelling, and I thought, wow, this is so much bigger than even this really interesting story.
Do you have any idea why I asked you to come here today?
No.
No. Well, Mark, do you have any idea who I am?
No.
If some rich guy calls you on the phone, I want Mark Schultz to come visit me. Well, I'm a wrestling coach, and I have a deep love for the sport of wrestling. And I wanted to speak with you about your future, about what you hope to achieve.
8 years ago, I did a movie that was in Sundance, and Bennett came to me about this movie, and I was like my second movie ever, and I'd seen Capote, but I didn't really know very much about Bennett. And he was explaining to me the story and how he wanted to do it, and Bennett kind of freaked me out a little bit. Like, I didn't know, I was like, I don't know, man, this seems really weird. I don't know if I know how to do that. And I kind of didn't pass, but like, it was definitely like, I don't know, I'm not sure. And ultimately, I thank God that I didn't do the story then, because I didn't know what I was doing as an actor at all then. And, you know, and I'm so happy that I got to do it now with these guys, and with a little bit more of an understanding of acting and the story in general. Like, and I think the story's kind of matured and evolved along the years. Bennett's been on this for a long time.
Mother, I am leading men. I am training them. I am teaching them. I am giving them a dream, and I am giving America hope.
Hope. It doesn't matter.
How you try to create your character, Steve? I said that because you have a lot of makeup, of course. It's 3 or 4 hours every day.
Yeah, just about that.
Good. It helps you to create the character, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I watched. I did a lot of research. I think we all did in advance of the shooting, and read as much as I could about him. And there's quite a bit of footage on him, including things that he commissioned to do for himself. You know, he commissioned a documentary on himself, and I think the most valuable part of that was the raw footage, the stuff that didn't make the documentary. It was just him in repose, or him behind the scenes, or instructing the camera to do something. Like he'd turn to the camera and he'd be I think more himself than he was projecting in the actual documentary. And he had a very specific speech pattern and rhythmically. So I tried to model my speech after that as well.
I don't like the sport of wrestling, as you know. It's a low sport. And I don't like to see you being low.
And was it also necessary for you to play this character, not that the bad guy, the stupid guy or something, but the normal guy with insane a little bit, of course. But yeah, the key for you, it was to try to be this guy the normal way?
Well, I didn't approach him as a villain or as a monster of any sort. I think he was troubled. And again, it's our assessment of who he might have been. I mean, in terms of all of these characters, it's our best guess as to who these people were and what was going through their heads. But no, I didn't. I didn't approach him that way. He was a human being, and I think his life was complicated. Not only was he troubled, but he was.
Yeah, the problem with his mother. I mean, something.
It was a very complex. He had many complex relationships, and didn't the friendships that he had, in great part, were people that he had hired. So no one was really willing to tell him the truth, and even if the truth might have hurt him, it could have helped him at the same time. But there was no one that was able to intervene and to assist him in any way. And I think that's really sad that he was alone in that regard.
Who are you gonna train with? No. I meant we, as in me and you, together, picking a team. Mr. DuPont and I would love to have you.
Mark, what's he get out of all this?
Mr. DuPont?
Yeah.
America, winning. You winning, we talked about you. Me winning.
Okay.
What are you thinking about, Dave? This is it. This is everything that we've ever wanted.
You did a lot of research too, I mean, Mark, to create the character, yeah?
Yeah, I got to spend some time with Mark Schultz and Nancy Schultz and Danielle and Alexander. And then I was really lucky to hook up with one of Dave's close friends who lived with him on Foxcatcher. And he became my technical advisor for most of the movie and my coach in a lot of ways for the way Dave wrestled. And then I got to see a lot of the video too, and he had a particular way of walking, and everyone used to talk about the way he walked and where he held his arms. They used to call him a Tyrannosaurus.
A little bit like a gorilla. I mean, a monkey, you know. Like,
yes.
Yeah, a little bit. Huh?
He was like that, and Bennett really wanted that from us. At one point, I was like, "Is this too much? I mean, is this, have we gone over the top?
Right.
And he's like, no.
Well, and that's where we all just trusted Bennett to tell us in which direction we should take all of that. Because, you do the research over months, and these guys wrestled for 6 months and trained before we started. But then once you're there, you kind of forget about all of that and just do it.
Mark, you have been living in your brother's shadow your entire life. It's time. It's your time now.
I know what you mean.
Do you?
Because everything that I've done, I feel like has somehow been credited to Dave. And, I feel that it's time for me to distance myself from him. Become my own person.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo, when we met Mark Schultz, he gave me some of the best, probably, advice that I was given character-wise on Mark. Just even, he's like, just really pay attention to like the way Mark Schultz is such a physical person, that's how he sort of addresses the world. He's like, look, take it for what you will, but really get into everything about him physically. I think will give you a really intrinsic way into his like fabric of his DNA, and I started to do that. And I really discovered a lot about Mark Schultz, and he's just he's like just almost angry at the world, and he's just super sensitive person, and thank you for that, man, by the way.
David, we have a lot of work to do in the next couple of months. And you're an integral part of that. You understand?
I understand.
I'm going to need you. And I will be relying on you to a great extent. I want, more than anything, to win a gold medal.
Usually in the movie you have lead character and the rest of the cast, and this one, three of you, your characters are so strong. I mean, it's like good balance between the brother and you, of course. That's the point. I mean, the success of the movie is also because it's three very, very strong characters you play.
Yeah, when I finally watched it, I was like, how many movies do you see where all three actors really go for it as far as character goes? And Bennett pushed us that way. It's really brave of him to do that, and created that place for us. But it's rare that usually it's one guy, and then everyone else sort of is doing what they can around him.
And it tells a complete story in between all of our characters. Generally there's like one sort of arc, but it has every arc has a finish, a beginning and end. It's pretty special. In my opinion.
I think it's a point of view too. I mean, there are three distinct points of view that are equally represented, and I think that's Bennett. Mining that and having an equity there. And
you understand, of course, at the beginning of the movie, this guy could be the kind of mentor for your character.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the first time that Mark had ever been sort of looked at in such and valued and seen for I think any kind of accolade that Mark might have gotten pretty much was almost given to him through Dave. Mm-hmm. Dave was everything that Mark was kind of attributed because of Dave, and I think this is the first time when DuPont comes in and says that I don't think that you're respected enough. I don't think that you're given the tools to really become what you deserve to be, and of course that is. I mean, that must have felt like God finally saw him. I mean, it was. I think it was special, and I think I think what Steve. Ultimately people want to fixate on. He was a murderer, he's a monster, or whatever. But really, these are just people that are all dealing with things that make them human. And they didn't start that way; they become that. And it's really just trying to understand why they become like that, and who they were before they were that. In the end.
Why is there nobody in the gym?
Yeah, no, I gave.
You ungrateful ape. Mark.
Easy.
Good.
I don't need your help.
Want to tell me what's going on with you and DuPont?
Hey, what did I just say?
Coach is a father. Coach is a mentor. Coach has great power on an athlete's life. Mark.
Like your character, I mean, deal with the human things, with a wife, the 2 kids, or
a brother that he loves, but obviously has to make some sort of decision about one way or the other, and they're all impossible. I mean, the tragedy is that the whole structure, you know, it's going to end badly.
Yeah, there's a sense of foreboding, I think, from the get-go, from the very beginning. It's all imminent.
He's the victim of his wealth
You're right.
in a way, and they're the victim of their poverty, or they're these great talents that have to figure out a way to monetize their talent, and then and he can do it, but that his character isn't in some ways, in that sense, as developed as theirs, but he wants that. It's like, it's very loaded.
So it's also a great story, great movie about American society. I mean, regarding
all society today.
All society today. You're right, not American one.
This is the way we are in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
Competitive and just wanting to be seen and respected and acknowledged and loved, I guess.
The best director goes to Benneth Miller for Foxcatcher.
Je tiens à dédier ce prix à Megan Ellison et Channing Tatum et Steve Carrell et Mark Ruffalo, les interprètes du film.
We got a lot of nominations for the Oscar, next one, I'm sure. But you think it's a kind of movie can change your career?
I think it's counterintuitive to go after a part with the expectation of how people will respond to it. I hope the movie resonates with people, and I hope they like it. But as to what it leads to, no idea. I mean, that's such a slippery slope.
Yeah, but you expect maybe a lot of things. I mean,
do I expect? I expect nothing.
Okay, good.
I always I set my bar very, very low, so I'm never disappointed.
You're right.
I love that.
Merci beaucoup, merci à tous les trois. Thank you very much.